Playworks is an organization that brings play and physical activity to low-income urban schools. It was launched in 1996 in 2 schools in Berkeley, California, and now can be found in schools across the country. Please welcome its founder and president, the passionate and playful Jill Violet.
Thanks. So I've spent not an inconsiderable amount of time during the conference considering the personal applications of the voice of God. And so here's what I'm thinking. If I could use it in the morning, picture my 5 kids at the counter at breakfast, and they're kind of bleary-eyed and surly looking, and I come in to breakfast, and they've got their cereal, and the music swells, and the voice of God comes on and said, "Mommy is a nationally recognized expert in getting kids to school on time." And I suspect they would still roll their eyes at me. So I want to play a game, given that that's what I do. So can I get the house lights up? I was told that if I asked nicely and said, "Please, look at that." So we're going to play a game, and it's called Stand Up. And that's not supposed to be confusing in any way, shape, or form. The way the game works is that you're going to be doing I'm going to make a series of statements. Don't stand up yet. Hold on. I like that. It's an enthusiastic group. So I want everything off your laps, though. And so I'm going to make a series of statements, and if that statement is true for you, I'm asking you to stand up, and then you're going to pause for a second, and then sit back down. Now, if standing up is not going well for you, I have a bad left knee, you could just make an upward sweeping gesture, and that will suffice, and we'll know you're playing. Okay. If you are a parent, stand up. Right on. All right. Sit back down. If you subscribe to an actually printed newspaper that is delivered to your home, stand up. Or make an upward sweeping gesture. All right? I prefer the standing, I must admit. All right? That's hot. If you have ever been to a Dead show, stand up. Yeah, look at that. And the Dead show people are waving. Thank you. Come on, sit back down. If you memorized a poem in your teen years that you can still recite from start to finish, stand up. Nice. Okay, I got to tell you, I've done this in lots of audiences. This is the biggest showing. All right. Everyone else should feel free to jump those people at lunch and make them recite that. If you have ever performed in a musical, stand up. It's like people all over Southwest Florida are going to break into 76 trombones. Okay, sit back down. If you have ever owned a Barbra Streisand album, stand up. Oh, that's great. Give yourself a hand. Excellent. All right. I like that. All right, I play this game for 2 reasons. The first reason is I've been here for 2 days, and I actually wanted to find out a little more about who was in the audience. But the second reason is I was wondering, because I wanted you to have just a slight experience of the cognitive shift that happens when you're playing. So did you notice? So y'all have been sitting here for a day and a half listening to some really amazing, brilliant people drop knowledge on you. And so it's a very much of a kind of one-way experience in some ways, right? People stand up here, they talk, and you take it in. And the people you've had in front of you are, internationally renowned speakers, right? But when I started to talk, I was wondering if any of you had the experience, because there is a known cognitive shift that happens when we're actually participating and playing like that, where suddenly you felt more in the present, where there might have been a slight physiological response, where not that you were anxious or worried, but that because I was talking about you and that you might be compelled to do something, that you felt your pulse quicken a little bit. And that also that the whole dynamic of the room changed, right? That I'm talking, but then you're standing up, and you're thinking about yourself, and you're looking around. And so the other people in the room become part of your experience, as opposed to when the lights are down and you're just looking at the person on the stage. Now, the implications of that for public education are really interesting, right? Because the way most of public education works is in a fairly didactic state, right? A teacher stands in front of the classroom and stands up and talks, and the kids take in as much information as they possibly can. And when we were growing up, there were lots of opportunities for brain breaks like we have here, and you'd go out and you'd have recess. But what we're seeing now across the country is that those opportunities to play are increasingly being reduced. Kids have far fewer opportunities to play outside after school and on the weekends and during the summers, almost no opportunities to play in an unsupervised manner. And during the school day itself, there are reports that up to 40% of schools have either eliminated or reduced recess significantly. The Gallup poll just came out 2 weeks ago that said 1 in 5 principals last year reduced recess minutes at their schools because of pressures of standardized tests. So if you think about what we know about the cognitive state of play and how learning happens during that time, the implications of that are fairly serious. The other thing about play that I think is so extraordinary, and the reason I've dedicated my life to it, is that play affects people on a wide range in a wide range of ways. So not only does it have cognitive implications, but it has physical implications. We've been recently getting a lot of great attention because we're part of the First Lady's anti-obesity initiative, Let's Move. And so I got to go to the White House 2 weeks ago to be there when she made the big announcement, and she's been great about talking about how recess is critical. And people really are coming to see that play potentially is the single most effective way to get kids to be physically active because it's intrinsically motivated, right? It's not about a finger-waving public health, someone admonishing you saying, you have to exercise. It's about finding what you love and chasing it. So the obesity crisis you've heard all about today. We heard Dr. Katz talking about it. And I would never begin to argue that it isn't an extraordinarily serious and important issue facing us. There's a great likelihood that the generation coming up right now will actually have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. And as a mom, that's completely unacceptable. But I would also postulate that as I spend more time out in the schools, that an equal but harder to sort of really measure threat to our well-being as a society are the social and emotional implications of kids not getting to play every day. And by that, what I mean is a little bit about, Lisa was talking yesterday about being a change maker. Because our experience is that when kids are out playing, I mean, you can remember recess for yourself. But when kids are out playing, that is one of the really great opportunities that they have to really have the experiences that help them develop empathy, teamwork, leadership, and maybe most importantly, it gives them the chance to really have an impact and to not only imagine solutions, but then to be the people who execute the solutions. We have to give our kids a chance to actually make a difference. And it's so easy to trivialize play, but nothing could be farther from the truth. It is the practical developmental way that we have evolved to really experience our capacity as change makers. So while obesity provides a very obvious, easily measured threat, I would argue that eliminating opportunities for kids to play every day poses an ever greater threat because potentially we're going to lose our own ability to solve our own problems. I'm going to, as a veteran, seasoned, do you think that was like code for older social entrepreneur? I'm going to try and stay to my 5 minutes because we learn that we really have to like fill in and you ask quickly. We're currently, Playworks is in 170 schools full-time right now. We're in 10 cities nationally. We're adding 6 new cities this summer. We'll be in 300 schools next year. And there are 60,000 public elementary schools in our country. And I'll tell you what, I can see a person in every one of those schools making sure that play happens in a wonderful, joyous, healthy, great way in those 60,000 schools as clearly as I can see you sitting here today. But what I figured out over the last 20 years is it means nothing that I can see it if I can't convince all of you to see it too. So I need you to believe that play is important. And I need you to say when people ask, how do we fix our schools, that you say, hey, don't forget about play. Because we want our kids to grow up to be whole, wonderful people. Everything that all of you who stood up as parents, everything that you wanted for your kids, we have to want for every kid who's out there. I was going to laugh too. The other thing I was going to say between seasoned social entrepreneurs and the newer social entrepreneurs, the one, the baker who was so wonderful, she said, oh, yeah, I want you to buy bread. I would like you to give me bread. So I just thought I'd say it out loud. Please check out www.playworks.org. Make sure to play yourselves, and thank you so much for having us here.